So Gunther Steiner, the team boss of America's F1 team, Haas F1, seems to think that American drivers can't cut it in F1. Well, today, Gunther, let's see how one of your gall darn foreigners does in a NASCAR race. As you can see, in NASCAR Heat 2, there is a very limited livery editor. And I discovered that I can make Romain Grosjean's, or a replica of Romain Grosjean's F1 Haas car, and, well, I decided to do it since one of the few numbers you actually have access to make your liveries with is the number 8, and of course that's the number that Grosjean uses in F1. And of course they threw in some Haas decals, and then all I had to do was pick a few colors, and I think we've got a pretty convincing Haas F1 replica. If you squint at it enough, it looks like an F1 car, believe me. So what we're going to do is throw Romain Grosjean into a Daytona race and see how he can handle going 3 wide for the 25% distance of the Daytona 500. Let's see how this turns out. Alright, so Grosjean in NASCAR. How's this going to go? Here we go. We're going to find out as we are underway here at Daytona for the Daytona 500. Somehow I suspect that Grosjean running Daytona would not generate nearly as much press as Alonso doing the Indy 500. But it's a special day here in the NASCAR world. It's very rare, unless it's the name of the driver is Jacques Villeneuve, that you get a F1 driver of the caliber of Mr. Grosjean. Spa 2011 notwithstanding. We'll just try to forget about that as we get in behind a big pack of cars here, nowhere really to go. It's a 200-mile-an-hour pace lap, as the meme seems to go, but we're going to the inside of Timmy Hill, almost making contact. That's not good. We'll sneak in behind Hill and try to get that draft. If we lose the draft, we're pretty much screwed. And obviously Grosjean would not know too much about the draft. There's no DRS here, as much as I'd like to lay the spoiler back and get some straight line speed. Could you imagine if there was DRS in NASCAR? everybody but the leader would get it, because I think everybody, the whole 40-car field is within a second of each other right now. And that would, of course, mean that the leader would be pretty screwed, because he'd be the only one with a spoiler going into the corners, and that would be quite chaotic. So not really able to make, well, I was going to say not being able to make too much of a move. Well, a little bit of bump and run there from Grosjean to Timmy Hill, and now I'm a little bit worried that we're going to lose the draft here. Well, I thought we had a good run there. No, we got the draft still through the tri-oval. We'll be able to catch right back up as Joey Gase gets held up just a little bit. We are running stages as well. So stage 1 is going to be 14 laps. It's a 50-lap race. If you're not familiar with NASCAR, if you are an F1 viewer who got clickbaited into watching something that said Grosjean in the title, NASCAR races are split up into quarters, almost like a soccer game or a football game, depending on what side of the pond you come from. And yeah, it's kind of silly. We think it's stupid too, but they still do it anyway, so whatever. But yeah, we will get a competition caution at lap 14. However, as you can see, with 8 laps remaining in our fuel tank, we are going to have to make a pit stop before the end of the stage. So green flag pit stops, you would assume, unless something really silly happens, which I wouldn't put it past, as we finally make the first overtake of the race on Joey Gase, and now we're really trying to get aggressive going underneath Timmy Hill. We get Cody Ware as well in that purple 51, and now getting up behind Timmy Hill alongside Casey Kane, who's way in the back. Oh, and Hill's going to try to chop off my front nose there as opposed to my rear nose. David, there's only one nose on the car, but anyway, yes, now the field's starting to spread out a little bit. I'm a little bit worried though. Once we get into pit stops, the AI definitely get a bit wonky, because they all come off of turn 4 and they all try to get in the pits. And it turns into a bit of a cluster as we get in behind Jeffrey Earnhardt, who will be the only remaining Earnhardt in NASCAR with the retirement of our Lord and Savior Ralph. And now we're going to go to the inside of Earnhardt. Almost get turned there. Well, Earnhardt's getting blocked by Allmendinger. We'll sneak up behind Jones and Earnhardt, just try to keep the cars that we have passed behind us at least. When are we going to have to come into pits? We've got 6 laps remaining on our fuel. Don't know when the rest of the field's going to come in. At some point, I'm going to have to move the top lane because as soon as they come into the pits, it's going to be a cluster beyond all clusters. We got 201 miles an hour here. Probably be at about 204, 205 going into the first corner as we get a nice run underneath Jeffrey Earnhardt. Make that pass down to the inside. And now in behind AJ Allmendinger. Field's starting to spread out, get single file. You kind of expect that to happen. This is kind of how it works in real life. Still got Matt Kenseth to the outside there. That car will be piloted by Eric Jones next year, or this year, I should say. It's not next year anymore, but or it's 2018 is not next year anymore. I'm not living in the current year, folks. I'm screwed up. All right, let's go to the outside because I'm a little bit worried about things coming out of turn 4. Nope, nobody's coming into the pits. Oh, we got a slow car in the middle. Slow car in the middle. Crash. Problems. Oh, and we're whoa, upside down almost. Still no yellow. We finally get a yellow. Something happened in the middle of the pack there. I tried to avoid it, ran into somebody, and Romain Grosjean has had his first crash in NASCAR, but he was able to survive. So we'll come into the pits, get everything fixed up here. It looks like only one car not coming into the pits. That is Kyle Busch, so he'll be the leader on the restart here. And this is not the end of the stage either. We've still got a ways to go before the end of the stage. Still a few laps. As we're coming back to the green at Daytona, we've got Matt Kenseth to our inside. We're restarting, of course, on the outside. Double file restarts in NASCAR, of course. As we're getting here and behind Jeffrey Earnhardt, giving a little bit of a shove to Earnhardt. Going to try to get him up into this pack here on this restart. Not working. So we're going to sneak to the bottom. Now we can definitely run the bottom because I'm not worried about cars coming into the pits. Obviously, if there's another car having major issues in the front of the pack, there's really nothing I can do about that. That's the big fear of plate racing. If something happens in front of you, there's virtually nothing you can do to avoid it. And it usually causes an accordion-style spectacular accident like you saw. As we get 197 miles an hour in the draft, trying to get that run as Earnhardt sneaks in front of me. So Jeffrey Earnhardt takes that position away. We're going to try to shove him 3 wide underneath Timmy Hill here, which we do achieve. Car feels a little bit slower on this run. Either that or everybody else is going for it. We got 4 laps to go in the stage. Big run on Earnhardt, over 200 miles an hour, but nowhere to go because there's 3 wide out in front of me. I'm just going to have to follow Earnhardt on the bottom of the track as Cody Ware is way out of the groove there. As Timmy Hill trying to wreck, or not trying to wreck me, but just trying to ruin my momentum. He side drafted me by, so good job Timmy Hill. He gets back around. We're going to have to hold out in front of Matt Kenseth here and Cody Ware. Not sure which of those cars is going to go faster. We kind of fell off just a little bit, but that means we're going to have a good run here coming into the tri-oval. How many more laps to go? We've got 9 laps to go on fuel, 3 laps to go on the stage. So we'll be coming to, I believe, 2 to go here. As Paul Menard very slow in the top lane. That actually slowed down that whole lane up there. 3 to go in the stage. And a big run on Timmy Hill, over 205, 206 miles an hour on the way in. Earnhardt, I wish he'd stay up top, Earnhardt. I don't have any drafting help now. Draft, of course, so important. But this is so fast. This is a fast run right here, coming to the end of the stage. So we're getting in here behind Earnhardt, 205 again on the back straightaway. Staying in the top lane. Earnhardt moves up to help us just a little bit. We'll pull behind Earnhardt. Top lane not quite getting me where I'd like to go. Jones made an interesting move behind me. Not really sure where he was going. I try to sneak in front of Hill, yes, or behind Hill, in front of Jones. Another nice run up top here, still nowhere to really go with it. It's so hard to get moving in the pack. If we had a long enough green flag run, I think we'd really start making up some position, but we just can't at this point. We're going to have a long green flag run in the second half of the race, I can tell you that, once the stages end. Oh boy, as we split the difference between Hill and Earnhardt. Oh, a little bit of contact with Earnhardt in turn 3. And now we're behind Numa. Can't quite get that draft. Come on, suck up car. There we go. Now we're getting it. In behind Allmendinger. We got to get as many positions as we can before the end of the stage because we'll be able to start better in the next stage. If we can gain some more positions, every position counts, especially when you can make up time. Hill making up time though on the inside. That run, that momentum I had on the outside has died out. So we're not clear of Jones. I'd sneak in behind him. We're going to have to make this 3 wide work again though. Hill's going to sneak in front of me. And he just sneaks in front of Jones, but he's going to choose the outside lane once again. A little bit of contact with Jones. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is some close racing. In behind Hill, to the outside of Hill. And that's the end of the stage. We get 34th. I hadn't even realized that we were on the last lap of the stage. That was just how intense that racing was at that point. So everybody's coming into the pits. I guess I will pit as well. We'll bring it in here. Get the car repair. Well, we don't need to repair the car, I don't think. It's fine. And everything else is good, so we'll advance to the green flag. Restart. 34th on the outside. And we'll begin stage number 2 in a moment. And there you go. We're underway once again at Daytona. So we got Jones and Kenseth behind me. Just out in front of me is Ryan Newman. We'll give him a little bit of a shove to try to get him going on this restart. Just trying to stay ahead of Hill, who we've been battling with this entire race, it seems, so far. Oh, and then everybody's slow in the middle there. What is going on here? I'm trying to shove him, get him going, but Casey Kane was very slow on the outside. Man, screw you, Casey Kane. He is just he's a boat anchor today because he just slowed that whole lane down as I was trying to get us going. And no momentum gained. So Grosjean is figuring this out, little by little. Still haven't broken out of the top 30 yet. Haven't seen any of our Stewart-Haas racing teammates. Oh, as there's a very slow car in the top lane there. Oh, speak of the devil, it's our Stewart-Haas teammate, Kurt Busch, but we just destroyed DJ Kennington. And the yellow will come out. We're going to have to come into the pits again, as you can see. The right side of the car destroyed. Oh, that was probably Mr. Grosjean's fault if I did have to assign some blame there. Now we've got a very damaged-looking 96 of DJ Kennington just out in front of him. He's another gall-darn foreigner, too. He's a gall-darn Canadian. Gall-darn it, get them foreigners out of NASCAR, them foreign drivers running in the back of their foreign pack. Anyway, 8 laps to go here in stage number 2. So once we get these stages out of the race, or out of the way, the race will really kind of begin. These are just kind of, I mean, it's kind of weird. The stages in NASCAR kind of have the opposite effect of what you'd kind of want, because it kind of makes the rest of the first half of the race kind of pointless. But here we go, making a move in the middle groove here. This is what got us in trouble in the tri-oval. We're behind our teammate at Stewart-Haas Racing, Kurt Busch. They're 3 wide out in front of us. Hill to the outside, Busch in the middle, and Kenseth down to the inside. Things are getting hot and heavy here because everybody's trying to win this stage. So we're getting into the middle of the track. This time just hold your line, Mr. Grosjean. Couldn't quite do it. Kennington down to the inside with, that is not a very aerodynamic car, I can tell you that. Not sure how he's getting such a good push through the center of that, or down the inside, but he is. So we're going to have to use this inside lane. I think the inside lane is the one we're going to have to work with here. And behind Timmy Hill and Kennington. The Fern drivers are working together. And now they're not, because I've got a better run than Kennington does into turn 3. Let's try to keep this momentum up, keep this speed up, try to stay over 200 miles an hour. We're at 199, 198. Kennington's somehow getting a run on the inside of me still. Big run on Paul Menard. Just keep that momentum up. Keep the momentum up. That is such a big key in this kind of racing. Momentum. Oh, no, we're going to lose momentum because we touched Paul Menard there. Only going to be at 204 on the entry to turn 1. Jones way up the groove, almost getting in the wall there. Side by side with Cole Witt. Can't quite get around him. Still side by side down the back straightaway. Witt pulling around and then we'll get into line. Cut off DJ Kennington there for the moment. Try to shove Witt to the inside, make it 3 wide underneath Menard, which he does, so that's going to allow us to possibly suck up here into this gap and take a couple of positions. We got that inside lane moving, and that's what we needed to do. We just have to get underneath Paul Menard before he decides to take that lane away from us. Thankfully, Witt holding steady there on the inside. And we'll sneak to the inside, gain a few positions there. Trevor Bayne and Eric Jones falling by the wayside, as well as Menard now. So thankfully, Witt got our message, and we pushed him to the front. Oh, I tried to move up, and it didn't quite work. We could possibly break out of the top 30 for once here, though, as we're giving Witt just a little bit of a shove there. Past Casey Kane, so we're 3 wide on the inside in the tri-oval, trying to get that draft off of Earnhardt. And if we can get past Danica Patrick, we'll be almost into the top 30 for once. For once in this race. And ironically, Stenhouse, her ex-boyfriend, yes, that really happened, is right in front of her. And he definitely dumped her, both in real life and in the game. And now Earnhardt is the only thing standing in our way between our position now and actually finally getting up into the top 30. So we're going to shove Earnhardt here through turns 3 and 4. And here come the pit stops. Here comes some pit stops. 1 car in the pits. Only 1. It's Denny Hamlin. So not sure if that's a mechanical failure or what. No, this is going to be pit stop, so we're going to have to be in the outside lane here when we come to the turn 4 the next time around, because otherwise everybody is going to be peeling off into the pits, and it's going to be mass chaos. So we're going to work to the outside, get to that outside lane now. This is the safe lane for me to be in, even though we're probably going to get passed down to the inside. I'm not going to be too concerned about it right now, because it doesn't matter, because we're going to gain a lot of positions from cars coming into the pits. We just got to make sure we don't get caught up in this silliness that's about to take place. Here comes the line of traffic into the pits. There you go. And I managed to avoid all of that. So now, can we hook onto the back of this little train just in front? We do have a little bit of a draft. There are lap cars coming out of the pits, which is going to make this very interesting, because those lappers are going to slow down this group in front. That's Chase Elliott, I believe, leading the pack. And no, we don't have a draft, so we're going to have to hope that these guys come into the pits here on these last 2 laps. Otherwise, we're going to be relegated to 5th in the stage. But hey, that's still a pretty good track position, and that'll set us up great for the final stage, as that lap car tried to sneak in the line there. It's actually splitting up that group, and they're all very slow on the inside. They ran out of fuel. This group ran out of fuel. They are very slow on the inside of the track, and we'll take the lead in the stage. Around Ty Dillon, Romain Grosjean leads with 1 lap to go in stage number 2 here at Daytona. And coming around to lap most of NASCAR's stars, Grosjean is somehow strategized his way into the lead here, lapping Joey Logano, the 2015 Daytona 500 champion. And now we work down the back straightaway. This isn't for the race win, remember, this is just to win a stage. It's like leading into halftime at the Super Bowl or the World Cup. It doesn't really matter all that much, but it sure does feel good to be leading, as we're going to come off of turn number 4 down along the yellow line. Logano's going to try to get his lap back before the the caution flag, or the green and white checkers, whatever you want to call it. Yellow is out. Romain Grosjean wins stage 2 at Daytona over Ty Dillon, Ryan Blaney, and Corey LaJoie. That's a who's who of names right there. And several drivers, big names, are going to be laps behind the race here at the end of, or the beginning of stage number 3, the final stage of the race. Woo! That was exciting. And now Romain Grosjean is going to have to hold on to the lead in the race. Now I think we're going to have to pit under this caution, because we've only got 2 laps left of fuel. And the only other car coming in is Ryan Blaney, so we may not actually be able to hold on to our track position. It's going to be very touch and go here. So we're going to come into the pits, get the car repaired as well, even if there isn't any real damage to the car. And you can see there's a lot of cars a lap down. A lot of cars a lap down, so we'll have to see. Yeah, we're 16th. only 18 cars now on the lead lap. Hey, that's a whole F1 grid right there. So Romain Grosjean going to be a little bit more comfortable, I suspect, racing only 18 cars, but we'll see. And obviously, if there are yellows, that means that more cars are going to be given laps back due to NASCAR's lucky dog rule as we get up to fourth gear here. And just not really anywhere to go at the moment. Now the top lane's starting to move. Truex, the undisputed NASCAR champion, way up top. We got to slow down in the top lane. Again, the top lane just decides not to go. So Matt DiBenedetto trying to give Romain Grosjean a bit of a shove there. Oh, Grosjean blocked the heck out of Ryan Newman right there. So we fall back all the way to, well, 17th position. But obviously there's more lappers in this mix here. No blue flags in NASCAR. They're not going to get out of my way. We're going to have to pass them on track to get back up into positions we can actually race for. 202 miles an hour. We're going to have a huge run here as we've got 17 to go at Daytona. So well over a full stage remaining in this race. Probably going to be 1 to 2 pit stops more in this race, depending on how the fuel mileage ends up working out. Obviously, if it's a fuel mileage race, I'm sure the Haas F1 team or the Stewart Haas Racing is going to feel pretty confident about that because, of course, we want a stage on fuel mileage. So 206 miles an hour, almost 207 into turn 3 that time around. And actually going to be racing Harvick for position here to the inside. That's a teammate as well. Oh, God, no, that's a teammate. But we actually managed to make the pass. So Grosjean kind of having an Alonso Indy 500 race. Kind of got up to the front midway through the race. I'm just worried that this engine's going to blow up. And that would be a true Alonso performance as we get to the inside of McFlurry here. Jamie McFlurry can't quite pull it off. This is for position. Allmendinger's not. Oh, a little bit of bumping there going on. That was not what we wanted to do. Chase Elliott gets up into the wall as well. So everything's kicking off here. Here comes DiBenedetto down to the inside. He's a lap car, and Elliott in trouble. Elliott out. Elliott, after hitting the wall, is going to be slowing down, and he backs up the entire lap car field back there. And that is going to be rip Chase Elliott's chances. He choked. He smacked the wall on the backstretch, and that will eliminate Chase Elliott from potentially winning this race with 15 laps remaining in the Daytona 500. 8 laps on our fuel, so we are going to have to come in at least one more time. And who knows what's going to happen from there. Bottom lane forming up much better than the top lane. Cars getting trapped in the middle there, in behind McFlurry. The run was nice, and now we're kind of stalling out a little bit as we get up into traffic. In the middle lane here behind Trevor Bayne, the 2011 Daytona 500 champion. And Clint Boyer to the outside, just kind of hanging on by a thread out there. Now we'll get a really good run behind McFlurry here. Try to suck up behind him. Not going to quite. And here comes some pit stops. Into the pits goes Denny Hamlin. Well in advance of most of the rest of the field. But then I realized that we are way up on fuel as well. So there are going to be a lot of pit stops coming here in the next couple laps. I think Ryan Blaney's the only one on our pit strategy. He's the 21 car. Third car in your picture on the top lane. Now second as we pass Trevor Bayne for good. But we need to get up in the top lane, otherwise things are going to get very, very dodgy. As McFlurry, all right, we're going to follow Blaney because Blaney is almost certainly not going to come into the pits with the rest of the field here. Jimmy the Juggernaut Johnson working way to the outside. Whoa! Oh, baby, that was almost calamity. Almost calamity, and here comes some pit stops. Several cars coming into the pits. Kyle Larson, who was the leader, now in the pits as well. So Corey LaJoie now giving us a shot in the RIP BK Racing Special. That's what happens when you don't pay your taxes. And here comes LaJoie looking to the outside. That is for position. The car directly behind now is Matt DiBenedetto. That is not for position. That's a lapper. Car directly ahead is Ty Dillon. That is for position. So we've got to hope that somebody gives us a little bit of a bump draft or something. Come on, get us going here. We're kind of blocking 2 lanes of traffic, though there are lap cars coming out of the pit, so that may help us get to the lead. Don't know what the fuel strategy of the guys in front are. Certainly Blaney, the car number 21, in 4th place, is not going to pit on this lap. So there's potentially going to be a battle between myself and Blaney here on this lap, assuming he doesn't get blocked coming into the pits, which he did slightly. So we're going to be able to get a good run on Blaney here and potentially go around for 3rd which we do. Lap cars coming out of the pits. This is going to cause some trouble, I suspect. You're going to work around the outside. Blaney sticking in behind me. Gonna get a draft off of Boyer, who just comes out of the pits, and there's a yellow, probably caused by cars entering and exiting the pits. So we're going to be coming into the pits. We're going to take 4 tires. Well, do we need to take tires? I'm going to take tires. You know, I'll take handling over track position, especially considering how many people are going to be laps down when we get back to racing. So, at least 13 cars in the lead lap for this restart. We're in 9th place. Romain Grosjean has worked a perfect strategy at this point, up into the top 10, as we go back to racing here at Daytona for what should be the race to the finish. 9 laps remaining. Fuel tank, 11 laps, so Grosjean can make it to the end. Can the rest of the field? We'll find out. Regardless, it's going to be a duel. 3 wide already. 3 wide already all the way through the field. That's not surprising. And all the way to the bottom is Romain Grosjean. He's going to get several positions here. Trying to get underneath our Lord and Savior Kyle Larson. Can't quite do it yet. Staying in front of Chris Buescher, trying to. Denny Hamlin, who's been leading this race for the majority of it, but he hasn't had very good fuel mileage, is all by himself on the bottom. It's going to be Grosjean and Hamlin on the bottom, and now it's McDowell making the move in front with, I think that's, is that Keselowski? I'm not sure. Regardless, there is, yeah, it is Keselowski. So guidance counselor Brad leading the race. McDowell behind. Hamlin, Larson, Grosjean. Outside move by Chris Buescher. He doesn't have any drafting help. Jimmy the Juggernaut Johnson. Where did he come from? But he's on the lead lap as well. Racing for the lead. Underneath Larson. Larson trying to run that sprint car line. That doesn't work at a plate track. Grosjean's figured that out. Why haven't you, Larson? And now we make to the outside of Larson. Inside of Hamlin. Coming for the lead is Grosjean, but can he get it? McDowell going for the lead. Everybody's sucking up behind each other. It's a 2-by-2 draft here. Grosjean and McDowell working past Hamlin and Keselowski. 2 of the most prolific plate racers in the modern era versus 2 road racers. McDowell was a champ car driver. Grosjean, an F1 driver. And there's Johnson and Larson behind in row number 3. And it's, I think that's De Benedetto again getting up into that mix. No, in fact, that is Trevor Bayne, the 2011 champion of this race. Here comes to the outside. And around goes Hamlin. Johnson looking to the inside of Grosjean, can't quite do it. Hamlin trying to get in, sneak into 2nd place, or 3rd place, excuse me, but 2nd place in this line, and he dumps Keselowski. So clearly Hamlin decided that the bottom lane was going to move better, and Keselowski hung out to dry on the outside. No help aerodynamically now, but McDowell moving up in front of Keselowski. Oh, and McDowell blocks Hamlin for the lead. 6 to go here at Daytona. Who's going to get it? Grosjean now pushing Hamlin to the front. Not going to quite do it. Oh, and Grosjean sneaks to the inside of Hamlin. Grosjean down to the inside. It's going to be Romain Grosjean trying to get the lead here at Daytona. Can't quite get it done. Hamlin, Johnson. A lot of big NASCAR names up here, but it's still Michael McDowell leading. Is this a prediction of what's actually going to happen in the Daytona 500? Who knows? But Hamlin trying to chase down McDowell. We're going to have to get a run, so we're going to have to set up some momentum here, because otherwise we won't be able to pass 2 cars. We're not real. Oh, and Hamlin goes into the pits. Hamlin can't make it on fuel. Hamlin will drop out of the race. 5 remaining in the Daytona 500. 7 laps of fuel in the Haas. What is McDowell's fuel mileage? We've got to stay ahead of Johnson. Oh, and sneaking to the outside was a little too high there for Grosjean, but it's possible that Jimmy Johnson is going to give Grosjean a nice shove here down the back straightaway. Keselowski's in here. That's a lap car on the inside. That's Landon Castle. He's trying to get his lap back if there was indeed a yellow. Several cars lapped on the inside here. Kenseth is the next car that's actually, and into the pits comes more cars. More cars coming into the pits. We got Dale Earnhardt Jr. up here. 4 laps to go at Daytona. McDowell still leads. Grosjean still chases. Johnson laying in wait in 3rd in case the road racing guys decide to take each other out. Buescher up to 5th. Kenseth 4th. And the Angry Horde still staying behind. Now Dale Jr. looking to the inside, trying to get his lap back. It's going to be difficult. I can tell you that it's going to be difficult for him. And now a good draft on McDowell. It may be too early to make that move, though. And indeed, McDowell holds on to the lead for now. Johnson making the move behind. Everybody in a single line here, heading off at turn 4. And McDowell goes into the pits. McDowell goes into the pits. It's going to be Romain Grosjean taking the 3-lap-to-go signal. It's Blaney and Kenseth and Ty Dillon behind. Brad Keselowski is back there as well. Oh boy. So now Grosjean is going to have to do the impossible task of blocking some of NASCAR's finest drivers at its biggest race. Here comes Kenseth by himself on the outside. No drafting help from Kenseth. He's going to be all by himself around the outside and make that pass. So Kenseth goes back into the lead. Grosjean decided to block Blaney, and he did not have the blocking capability to block Kenseth. And here comes Keselowski to the outside. Grosjean probably had too much of a lead, and Kenseth is in the pits. Oh, and contact! Contact! Romain Grosjean goes across the grass. He saves it now. But into the wall went Romain Grosjean. Somehow, after bouncing off across the grass, Grosjean will continue on in 3rd place. Keselowski leads Corey LaJoie with 2 laps to go here at Daytona. Trevor Bayne, who made contact with Grosjean, was not even for position. Are these guys going to be able to make it to the end? I think we've got 2 laps to go. Yes, 2 laps to go in the race. Is Grosjean going to be able to hold on? They're out of fuel ahead. I think they're out of fuel. Keselowski and LaJoie out of fuel. They're in the pits. They're slow. They're out. Out of the Daytona 500. Back to the lead goes Romain Grosjean. 1 lap to go. Grosjean on a fuel economy run is going to try to get it here at Daytona. Is it going to happen? Not since Mario Andretti has a foreign driver won, or a foreign-born driver, I should say. Andretti actually technically an American because he's, of course, a naturalized citizen of this country. But Grosjean trying to be the first driver without the American flag next to his name in any capacity to win here at Daytona. And it's going to be Haas F1 or Stewart Haas Racing going back-to-back at Daytona, but in the most unlikely scenario. Fernando Alonso, who Romain Grosjean is going to come across the tri-oval, across the line, and win the Daytona 500. So that was Romain Grosjean's adventure at the Daytona 500. Here are the race results. You can check out where your favorite NASCAR star finished. Boy, was that exciting. That was a lot more exciting than I thought it would be, and I didn't expect Romain Grosjean to actually take a NASCAR victory, but that's why you run the race. You never know who's going to win. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Lynch on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe for more motorsport and NASCAR content. There's going to be a lot of NASCAR in February because, of course, NASCAR's back with the Daytona 500. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube, and we'll see you in the next video.